We are working on the 6th Anuvaka of the Rudradhyaya, starting from Namo Jyeshthaya cha, Kanishthaya cha, Namah Purvajaya cha, and so on and so forth. So as I mentioned last week, there are 15 mantras in this 6th Anuvaka, and last week we studied the first 3. Namo Jyeshthaya cha Kanishthaya cha Namah Purvajaya cha Parajaya cha Namo Madhyamaya cha Pagalvaya cha. Up to that we studied. Now we go to mantra number 4. Namo Jaganyaya cha Buddhiyaya cha. Jaganya actually means anything that is born alive. At the time of birth, it is alive, and it should be born through the genital organ, and therefore it is refers to mammals and including human beings. So these are Jaganyas, but this word is also used to refer a person who is vile in nature, who is evil, and a person who has got to be avoided. So such persons are also called as Jaganyas. So therefore this can be interpreted as Shiva is even in those evil persons. So we have to see that here, the Lord in everything. Buddhya is actually also one of the living beings. So Buddham means root, coming out of the root. Buddhya means it's actually vegetation. What happens is there's a root, and that root breaks through the earth, and therefore it is called as Buddhya. The Bhagavata actually identifies 4 kinds of births: Jarayujam, Svedajam, Andajodbhavam, Characharam, Deva Rishi Pitrubhutam Aindriyam, Dyauhu Kam Kshitihi, Shaila Sarit Samudra Dvipa Grahaksheti Abhideya Ekaha. So this is the statement from Bhagavata. Those of you who would like to refer to it, it is in the Panchamaskanda, 18th chapter, 32nd verse. So I have extracted that from that part of the Bhagavata. So there is Jarayuja. Jarayuja is the same as Andaja, is the same as Jaganya. It means it is anything that is coming out of an embryo. So Jarayu means embryo. So coming out of embryo, all the mammals and human beings are called Jarayujas. Then Svedajas are coming out of our sweat, swamps, like the insects that come out of swamps, mosquitoes, and then flies, yes, hair lice, and all of them are all Svedajas. Then there are Andajas, that means who are born out of eggs. And there is Udbhija, is the same as Buddhya. Ud means to come up. Bhida, to the root Bhid means to break, of Bhu. So that which breaks through the earth is Udbhija. And these Jarayujam, Svedajam, Andajodbhavam, Characharam, Devarushi, Vitrubhutam, all these things are none other than that Lord Himself, is what Bhagavata declares. So that verse of Bhagavata is the commentary on this particular mantra. So you remember in the beginning itself I said that Puranas are the commentaries on Veda mantras. So this is one of the proofs as to how Purana expands on 1 or 2 technical terms that you see in the Veda. Mantra number 5 is Namasobhyaya cha Pratisaryaya cha. So Ubha means 2. Sa Ubha, when you combine the 2, it becomes Sobha. Sobha is the Sandhi. When you do the Sandhi, it becomes Sobha. That means whatever is made up of both Punya and Papa. Ubhabhyam Papa Punyabhyam Saha Vartamanaha Sobha iti. So that is the explanation for this word Sobha, and it actually refers to the human beings. The reference to this from another Shruti is Prashnopanishad. In Prashnopanishad, chapter 3, mantra number 7, talks about Punyena punyam lokam nayati, papena papam ubhabhyam manushya lokam. When a person does punya, he will go to punya loka, that is the higher realms. By doing papa, he will go to papa loka, lower realms. Ubhabhyam, where there is a combination of papa punya, will end up in manushya loka. Incidentally, Sobha is also the name of the capital of Gandharvas, the denizens of music. Their capital is also called Sobha, because when a person has done a little more punya, then that person will be adept in music and will end up in the Gandharva loka. Then, Sobhyayacha Pratisaryayacha. Pratisara actually is a technical term used in Karma Kanda. We have a ritual called Pratisara Bandha. Pratisara Bandha is part of the wedding. In wedding, the kankana, that means what you tie to the wrists of the bride and groom, that kankana that is tied is called Pratisara. And actually the Vedic, a point for you to note, the Vedic Pratisara Bandha for bride and groom is made up of wool thread. Wool. So we have to get a wool thread which is a combination of black and white. So it will be threaded. I don't know, we may have some, right?
No, I didn't bring.
We didn't bring any. So
That's what we use in Karnataka.
yes, that is the Vedic. So we will try to find. So the Pratisara Bandha is the one which actually protects. And Pratisara, the word here actually means retrograde movement. That is, the nature of all matter is entropy. So here it is saying that this Pratisara, all the movements of Papa and Punya actually takes us to lower realms only. It is not going to give us moksha. So that is the essence of this particular mantra. There is not much to comment on some of these mantras, so other than just looking at the word meaning. Namo yamyaya cha kshemyaya cha. Yamya means one who is in the yamaloka or the loka of death. Loka that is in a position to punish. That is yamya. Kshemya is the one who is in a position to reward. So again, linking it to Papa Punya, in Papa it results in suffering, that is Yamya Loka. In Punya it ends in enjoyments, that is Kshema Loka. And then incidentally, Yama also means the last breath. The very last breath a jiva takes. So how do you define this last breath? What is this last breath? The last breath is actually the threshold between life and death. So that last breath is the one that actually propels the jiva either towards yamyaya or towards kshemyaya. So that moment of the taking the last breath is what determines which path that jiva takes. So that is the purport of this particular mantra. Mantra number 7 is Nama Urvaryaya cha Khalyaya cha. The Sanskrit term Urvara means a fertile land. So one who is in the fertile land. Khala actually means evil person, that is one meaning. The Vedic meaning of Khala is, when they cut the grain, they cut it with a long stalk. Then most of you who have gone to the villages would have seen. They hold that and there will be a kind of a stone, a big stone, and then you beat it on that stone. When they beat on that stone, the husk will be opening and the grain will come out. That stone is called Khala. So Khalyaya means one who makes the grain coming out of its husk. Of course, we can also give an interpretation, philosophical interpretation. That is, he who removes the khala, who removes the husk of body so that we can get moksha. So that also we can interpret that way. Namashlokya cha avasanyaya cha. This is an important mantra. Mantra number 8 is an important mantra in this whole Anuvaka. Shloka means Veda mantra. Avasana means Vedanta. So Namashlokya cha Vedanta, that is Avasanyaya cha. This mantra actually points to a very profound idea. Shiva is in the mantra. So what is the use of the mantra? The mantra is used in kalpa. Kalpa means everyday rituals like Sandhya Vandana, etc. In yajna. And then this Shiva, whenever you are using the mantra in ritual, puja, yajna, yaga, tirthayatra, so on and so forth, is related to experience of what? It is related only to the experience of our deha and indriya, isn't it? You perform a yajna, you perform a puja, it is going to give us merit. That is punya. What does punya end up as? It ends up as a certain amount of comfort. Where do you experience the comfort? Only in your body and in the senses. So therefore, entire karma kanda, which is the observing of the various rituals, is going to give us only the deha and indriya sukha. And that in deha and indriya sukha, Shiva is there as shlokyaya. Shloka also means to praise. So when and whom do you praise? You praise somebody who is capable of giving you a favor. When do you praise? When you want a favor from that person. Isn't it? Otherwise, why should you praise anybody? So the entire praiseworthy Shiva is in shloka, which is in the entire Veda mantra, which is used in ritual. And therefore, accordingly, as the Gita itself says, in whatever way you approach me, that is how I will bless you. So he blesses you with sukha. Avasanyaya cha means here, he is going to give you the avasana or the end. Avasana actually means death. That is the death of ignorance. He is going to give you the death of ignorance by giving vivekadi, sadhana chatushtaya, followed by shravana manana nidhyasa, giving you jnana and then taking you to moksha. That's the process. So this avasanyaya, where do you get all this information? You get only in Vedanta. Therefore, Shiva is in both shlokyaya cha, avasanyaya cha. That is, you will see that seems to be a contradiction. The contradiction is that you praise Shiva, then at the same time you only look for liberation and you do that in the same breath. So here, don't look in the mantra any paradox, don't look in the mantra any dichotomy. Actually, this mantra is the polarization of dichotomy. So how do we understand this concept? A very important Vedantic concept called Adhyaropa Apavada. Adhyaropa means you take name and form, superimpose that name and form on a concept, use the name and form to understand and reach the concept, experience the concept, then remove the form. So this imposing a form on a concept is called Adhyaropa. After understanding the concept, removing the superimposition is called as Apavada. So if you look at the entire Rudradhyaya, this is the key verse. It gives us a pointer as to how a scripture should be studied. This methodology is given to us in the 4th Adhikarana of Brahma Sutra. Tattu Samanvayat. Tattu Samanvayat means wherever you see any contradiction, you have got to reconcile the contradiction. The method of reconciling any contradiction is by means of Adhyaropa Apavada. For example, at one point the Shruti says, that which cannot be understood, the mind with the speech returns. Yato vacho nivartante. At one point of time it says. Then another point it says, through word you are able to reach Ishvara. So there is a contradiction. Then in one part the Veda says that in the entire world Ishvara is there. In another part it says Ishvara is beyond the world. Atyatishtat dashangulam. Like that, lot of statements which are apparently contradictory are there. But these, what we have to say is, every time a name and form comes into our awareness, you take that as Adhyaropa, go to the essence of the name and form, and then remove the name and form, and you can replace it with another name and form, and discover in another name and form also the same essence. That is why he can be a Vyomakesha, he can be a Viptakesha, he can be a Harikesha, That's so coming to hair, he can be all kinds. He can have a totally bald head, or he can have a full shock of hair. All those things are possible, and the way to understand is Adhyaropa Apavada methodology. So that nucleus of Adhyaropa Apavada methodology is given in this mantra, Namaslokyaya cha Avasanyaya cha. Mantra number 9, Namo Vanyaya cha Kakshaya cha. Vanyaya means one who is in the forest. Kakshaya means one who is in the creepers and bushes. There is a little bit of disjointed concepts here. So the way in which you can reorganize is study the 9th mantra with the 7th mantra. Then the 10th mantra with the 8th mantra. Then you will get some logical consistency. Because in the 10th mantra it is saying Namashravaya cha. Shrava means sound. Pratishravaya cha. Pratishrava means echo. So there is a sound and the echo, which is, what is the sound? The sound is the Veda mantra Karma Kanda. What is the echo to that? It is his Vedanta Shravana Manana Nitithyasa. Isn't it? So you study number 8 with number 10. Then you will get that link. Number 11. Nama Ashushenaya cha Ashurathaya cha. Ashushena means whose army moves extremely fast. What is that army of things in our personality that moves at great speed? Sense organs. All sense organs, isn't it? So the army of sense organs is Ashushenaya cha. And then there is Ashuratha. Ashuratha, Ratha Kalpana, we have talked about it. That means the body itself is a Ratha, isn't it? Ashuratha means a chariot which moves very fast. What is that chariot which moves extremely fast? The speed at which we age. Vidyutchalam Jeevitam, as Adi Shankara says. Life goes like a flash of lightning. So why is it we feel that a given day seems to go slow, right? But then by the time you bat your eyelids, you will already be getting older and older and older. Therefore, the body is Ashuratha cha, the mind is Ashushena. So in the Indriyas and in the aging of the body, Shiva is there. That is why we conduct the Shantis are also called as, with the same metaphor. When a person turns 60, it is called Ugra Ratha Shanti. That means where the Ratha, the body which is aging, is going at Ugra, that is fast speed. Then you come to 70. When you come to 70, it is called Bhima Ratha. Bhima means terrible. So that means that's the threshold where people will start feeling the weakness and then aging and the sense of aging and self-pity and whatnot. All of them will set in at that age. So, but the idea is that we, by recognizing that Ishvara's presence, we have to say that Bhima here is not one who is terrible, but is one of the 11 Rudras. So Rudra also blesses us. That's why in these Ugraratha and Bhimaratha Shanti time, we actually chant the Rudra mantras. Number 12. Namashuraya cha avabhindate cha. Shura means warrior. Avabhindate means one who strikes the enemies, with special reference to cutting off the head. So relate this to the story of how Shiva cuts off the 5th head of Brahma and becomes Kapalin. So that story you can relate to this particular mantra. Namo Shuraya cha avabhindate cha. Namo Varmine cha Varuthine cha. Varma means armor. Varmine means one who is having an armor. So that is why the Kshatriya surname is given as Varma. The Brahmanas are called Sharmas. Kshatriyas are called Varmas. Then Vaishyas are called Guptas. And the Shudras are called Dasas. But don't misunderstand, Dasa means slave or servant. Dasyate iti. That means one who is very generous in service, in giving. Dasyate means one who gives. So these are the surnames. This is especially maintained in North India. In South India, we have pretty much given up all these things. So in North India, you will see Sharma, Varma, Gupta, Dasa. All those names are. In fact, I have one of my very, very good friends, a surgeon by name Madhava Dasa. So you can see from the last name that he is born as a Shudra. Then Varuthinecha. Varutha means a shed. This is your garage. In the garage, interestingly, Varutha is not just where he parks his chariot, but the charioteer also sleeps there. So this is quarters given to both the chariot as well as to the driver. So that essentially this is Varma is Jiva, Varutha is Ishvara. So that's how we have to understand. Namo Bilminecha Kavachinecha. Bilmin means one who wears a helmet. Kavachin means again, there is a difference between that armor and this Kavachin armor. Abhinava Shankara actually comments this as Kanchukam. Kanchukam means like a vest, like Jitenji is wearing. So that can be called as a Kavacha. Kavacha is like a vest. Finally, mantra 15. Namashrutaya cha Shruta Senaya cha. Shruta means one who is praised by the Veda. Shruta. And then Shruta Sena means whose army is very highly praised. So in this Anuvaka actually, the praise is of the valor of Shiva. Valor of Shiva in the battlefield, valor of Shiva in the way he inhabits our body-mind complex, the valor of Shiva in his speed. So Ashushena, Ashuratha, Shura, Avabhindin, Varma, Varuthin, Bilmi, Kavachi, Shrutaha, Shrutasena. So all this shows the valor of Shiva, the formidable valor of Shiva. And the Rishi and the Devata of this Anuvaka is Swayam Bhagavan Shiva himself. And the Mahavirat and Mahapankti Chandas, 2 Chandas are there. The japa for this Anuvaka that is prescribed is whenever we have some very difficult times, if somebody is going through very difficult times, whether it is health-wise or work challenges other stresses. In those cases, this particular Anuvaka is used as japa. So next time we will take up Anuvaka number 7.